given thing at birth, right? And so I don't know. I might just take one extra shot at that.
If you are to be successful at that point when you're laying there on your deathbed,
Yeah.
if your answer to that question that they posit in Marcus's play, my godson's called Marcus actually because of Marcus Aurelius. Wow. But if you had have lived a successful life at that point, what would that mean for you?
Yeah. I mean, I feel lucky in that I don't wake up and think there's all this stuff that I have to do. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not saying like I've done everything that I want to do, but I'm saying like with the time that I have had, I feel like I've checked most of the boxes of, reaching the potential that I have, paying back debts or gifts that I was given, mastered things, made a positive contribution. Like I feel I'm good. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so I wake up with this sense of living in the bonus, that it's all extra, which is nice because I think early on in my life, I felt a lot of pressure and I was demanded or asked a lot of myself, and the ability to be like, I did it. And now every extra minute or day that I get is extra. That's where you want to get, I think.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm interrupting this broadcast with a very special announcement. 2 years ago, I started writing a book based on everything I've learned from doing this podcast and meeting all of the incredible people that I've had the privilege of meeting, but also from my career in business, from running my marketing businesses, my software business, my investment fund, and everything else that I've been doing in business and life. And from this, I've created a brand new book called The Diary of a CEO, The 33 Laws for Business and Life. If you want to build something great or become great yourself, like the guests that I've sat here and interviewed, I ask you, please, 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 read these 33 laws. The book I always should have written. If you like this podcast, this book is for you. And it is available now in the description of this podcast below. And every single day until it's out later this month, one person that pre-orders it, that takes a picture of their pre-order, uploads it to their story on Instagram or social media and tags me, will win a gold version of this book signed by me. And there's only 33 copies of those available. So pre-order it now, tag me on social media when you do, and 33 of you are going to win a very, very special book. A quick word on Huel. As you know, they're a sponsor of this podcast and I'm an investor in the company. One of the things I've never really explained is how I came to have a relationship with Huel. One day in the office many years ago, a guy walked past called Michael, and he was wearing a Huel t-shirt. And I was really compelled by the logo. I just thought from a design aesthetic point of view, it was really interesting. And I asked him what that word meant and why he was wearing that t-shirt. And he said, it's this brand called Huel, and they make food that is nutritionally complete and very, very convenient and has the planet in mind. And he, the next day, dropped off a little bottle of Huel on my desk. And from that day onwards, I completely got it, because I'm someone that cares tremendously about having a nutritionally complete diet. But sometimes, because of the way my life is, that falls by the wayside. So if there was a really convenient, reliable, trustworthy way for me to be nutritionally complete in an affordable way, I was all ears, especially if it's a way that is conscious of the planet. Give it a chance. Give it a shot. Let me know what you think. We have a closing tradition on this podcast where the last guest leaves a question for the next guest, not knowing who they're leaving it for. Ooh. And the question that's been left for you is, what would you do all day if you didn't have to work? And I'm actually going to give you context. First time I've done this. I'm going to give you some context on this. I never tell anybody who's written the question, but this was a long conversation with someone at the helm of artificial intelligence. And at the very end of our conversation, we reached this point where he believes that in the future, in the very near future, because of artificial intelligence, we're not going to have jobs. Yeah. And I've been wrestling with this idea. So what do we do? Universal basic income. What do people do with their time? Do people need meaning in their lives? And where are we going to find meaning if it's not in struggle? Yeah. So in a world of, where artificial intelligence is running everything, what would Ryan Holiday choose to do with this time?
I don't know how I think I like that. I don't think I would make that many radical changes in my life. Like, I wake up early, I go outside, I spend time with my kids, I take them to school, and I sit down and I write. And I write for me. I write what I am interested in, what makes me better, what challenges me, what I think is philosophically interesting and provocative. And then that goes to someone else who takes it out and puts it into the world, right? Then I try to do something hard, I challenge myself physically. Then I go home, I spend time with my family, I putz around on my ranch that I live on, do some manual labor sometimes. And then, I tuck my kids in, I go to bed.
What do you think of ChatGPT and these large language models and how they're going to impact writers and knowledge? And
I think,
because I could go on there right now and say, give me a novel in the style of Ryan Holiday.
I mean, I did an email. I asked ChatGPT, I said, write a daily Stoic email on the subject of change. And I said, write me a daily Stoic email on the subject of replaceability. And it did okay. It wasn't as good as what I could do. Maybe in 10 years or a year, it'll be better. But I still had to edit it. I still had to refine it. And then also I had the idea to have it do that. The upside down urinal is art because someone decided to put a urinal upside down and said, that is art. And so, the intentionality is still the main thing. And then the refining and the polishing and the changing is what the role of the human is. And so I haven't seen a ton of change in my life, and that I haven't been here for 80 years. But, I remember when Google Books came out and a bunch of authors said it's not the same as going to a library and looking in the book physically. You shouldn't just be able to search books and find what you want. So they continued to do it the way they used to do it. And us younger people took advantage of this thing that saved us time and let us do more, right? And I don't know, maybe it will replace all of us, as everyone for all time has, every job has been replaced in some form or another, or maybe it just becomes a tool in the toolkit. And I think the job of each of us is to figure out how to use it and not be used by it, Well,
let's hope so.
Yes. Hope so.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
I suspect you'll be right, at least in the short and midterm anyway.
Sure.
Who knows, off into the future what the world looks like. Probably got more pressing issues. But Ryan, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me. This is very cool.
This book actually sits on my bedside because my girlfriend has stolen it from me.
Oh, amazing.
So she's reading it, and she's also reading your daily Stoic book. She'll be on a silent retreat as we record this, and she'll have it with her.
Oh, that's amazing.
She reads one page every day.
I love it.
She's Portuguese, so it's helping her with her English as well. So, but your books have stretched all across the world and reached into so many people's lives in such an incredible way. It's really an important thing that you do. I know you know this. You must know this because you must get these messages, and people must tell you in the tens of hundreds of thousands. But I've seen firsthand how your work has, and your ability to reach back into history and pull out wisdom that's so relevant and important to people's daily lives, has had a profound impact. That's a really special thing, Ryan. It's a really special thing.
That's very cool.
And I know you do it. When I asked you the question why you do it, you pointed at the selfish reasons, but the consequence of that is so selfless. And I thank you on behalf of all of those incredible people. And it's an honor to meet you as well, because these are ornaments in my household, and these are very important parts of my development. So thank you, Ryan.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
As you know, Zoe are a sponsor of this podcast, and I'm a big investor in the company. You guys know I'm rarely sitting still because that's just the nature of my life. So whether I'm in a business meeting with my investments or I'm recording this podcast, I'm always running from A to B. But the one promise that I made to myself is to fuel my body sufficiently. And Zoe has been really the key part of me succeeding in that mission. For those of you that don't know, I've been a Zoe member for about a few months now, ever since I had Zoe's scientific co-founder, Professor Tim Spector, on this podcast. Zoe helps me to understand how to make better food choices for my long-term health, and it's all personalized to me. Eating the right food is essential for me to keep me going because some of my meetings are often later in the day, and so I need to ensure that I keep my energy levels up. And Zoe allows me to understand which foods work for me and which foods don't. Eating the Zoe way, I don't get that dreaded afternoon crash and I feel great. So to get started with Zoe, go to zoe.com/Stephen and use my exclusive code CEO10 for 10% off. So many of you have been asking me for a discount code. Here it is, CEO10. Go to zoe.com/Stephen and use my exclusive code CEO10 for 10% off. And if you already use Zoe, send me a DM and let me know how you're getting on.